Central Bank to unveil new foreign exchange bidding regime, says Emefiele. Federal government decries $35,000 business registration fee for Nigerians in Egypt. European markets climb as January trading comes to an end. Major Asia indices jump at least 1%. Plus, oil rises, heads for best month since February 2021 on supply concerns. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. It's good to have you join us. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has decried that $35,000 deposit being requested by the Egyptian authorities from foreigners, including Nigerians, to operate a business enterprise in that country. The minister said such a condition negates the unity that bound African countries together. He therefore promised to take the matter up with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoffrey Oyema, and other relevant bodies upon his return to Nigeria. The minister also decries the high number of Nigerian children out of school in Egypt owing to language barrier and non-availability of registered Nigerian schools in Cairo. Evacuation of the unprocessed rice success pyramids in Abuja has commenced. Rice millers are on ground to see to the evacuation for milling and processing, INAGA Outer reports.
Would be recalled that rice paddy under the Rice Farmers Association of Nigeria program refund were stacked in 13 massive pyramids to ensure Nigeria's food security and abundance. This unprocessed rice, which was gathered together from across the 36 states of the Federation, is said to be just about 10% of the produce by farmers under the Anchor Borrowers program. Evacuation of this rice for milling and further processing has started in Abuja.
Each miller was given a certain quantity of paddy, and he has paid. If you pay 100%, and if you have any outstanding payment and you settle that through the Unity Bank, then we will honor the allocation and load the quantity that was allocated to you.
An average bag is about 75 kg, and the millers will ensure that the end product is sold to Nigerians at affordable rates.
As a miller, you will apply or you request that you did a FID to refund through CBN. So whenever the refund or CBN confirm that yes, you have a rice mill, so everybody is allowed to go and they will allocate a number of bags through which capacity do you have.
The Abuja Rice Pyramid is considered to be the largest in Africa. INAGA Outer.
Works on the Abuja-Kaduna-Kano highway is speeding up, with contractors set to meet the 2023 handover deadline. Minister of Works and Housing Babatunde Raji Fashola traveled the about 376 kilometers highway, insisting on quality from contractors and the right of way from the public. Abdullahi Mohammed reports.
Wheeling out of the city of Kano was a mixture of diversions. From a lane with men and machines laying out brand new roads to another completed with lay markings waiting for handing over.
About 643 equipment deployed.
This is the reality of the progress of work as well as the value of its finished product. The Minister of Works and Housing has savored. To those who worry about the finish line, he says it's more of the quality than speed.
The asphalt that is laid must be laid at a specific temperature. When they are laying asphalt, I think you should come. You will see that they insert thermometers there to ensure that the temperature is right. So we are not going to compromise all of that quality, otherwise the road will fail. We have only 24 hours in one day to work. And we want to avoid accidents also. It's our target to finish the main carriageway before 2023, May 29. And we are doing our very best to, and the President is also involved in this because we meet with his Chief of Staff every month.
And that speaks for itself. An environmentally friendly method of road construction with a world-class output. And what a way to cheer up the men whose blessed hands do the magic. On Kanu, Kaduna, Abuja Highway, Abdullah Muhammad.
Thank you, Abdullah. The National Information Technology Development Agency, NIDA, has revealed that the data protection industry is worth 4.08 billion naira, creating more than 8 jobs for Nigerians.
The only comprehensive regulation we have in Nigeria so far is Nigeria Data Protection Regulation. It is because of this, I think the journey so far is highly commendable. And the federal government of Nigeria is working day in, day out to integrate this existing legislation into full law.
Data drives
Hundreds of households in Borno State have benefited from conditional cash transfer scheme of the federal government, with over 200,000 households currently on the National Register for any kind of intervention. Maimuna Garba has more.
Which has significant positive impacts on poor and vulnerable families in the society, is a critical social protection modality initiated to promote economic empowerment while decreasing poverty and food insecurity. It is also being used more effectively to impact other aspects of people's lives.
I thank the President for coming up with this program, because I am using the money to sell cap.
The money I used to buy food for my family.
The program has great impact on lives of the citizenry in Borno, considering the over a decade-long insurgency which led to a lot of humanitarian crises. But the swift intervention of both the state and federal governments have assisted many families. Thus, significant number of households have benefited.
We have about 84,000 beneficiaries. That is 84,000 households that have benefited from the conditional cash transfer of the federal government. Recently, we were also in the field registering for the rapid response register as a result of the COVID-19, which was also part of the conditional cash transfer, because those registered into the RRR will benefit from 5,000 naira monthly.
With peace being restored and IDPs relocating to their ancestral homes, they are still going to benefit from the program, as Borno State Government has its own initiative. Borno State Government has also benefited from labor-intensive public workforce that supports individuals with set criteria by World Bank. These initiatives have succeeded in improving the lot of Borno citizenry, having suffered several years of insurgency war with great socio-economic effects. In Maiduguri, Maimuna Garba.
Now, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, today unveiled the 100 for 100 policy on production and productivity, PPP. From when the announcement was made on October 25th, 2021, over 243 applications have been received through 22 banks. The plan seeks to quarterly select 100 private sector companies with projects that have potential to significantly accelerate domestic production production and productivity, reduce imports, increase non-oil exports, and overall improvements in the foreign exchange generating capacity of the Nigerian economy beginning from November 1st, 2021. The ultimate goal of the initiative is to reverse the nation's over-reliance on imports by creating an ecosystem that targets and supports the right companies and projects with potential to immediately transform and jumpstart the productive base of the economy. 28 applications worth 23.2 billion naira have been approved, comprising 14 from the manufacturing sector, 12 from agriculture, and 2 from the health sector. Joining me to discuss more on the 100 for 100 initiative by the CBN is Dr. Taifa Abraham. You're welcome to Business Express.
Thank you very much, Mr. My pleasure to be here.
Okay, what's your take on this intervention that now it targets the real sector?
This intervention is another one by the central bank to help very big companies, enterprises that have the potential to grow our economy, to help them address the credit constraints that they may be facing ordinarily. Because access to credit from the normal financial market is exposed to a lot of evaluations. They face interest rate risk assessment, ability to pay back. They have to show one or two collateral here and there. They have to show a certain record of performance and other documentation that can help motivate providing loans to them. Also, in addition to that, showing that they will not default. But the CBN, knowing the potentials from these companies, and that's why it is 100 for 100. Up to 100 companies can apply, and then they process their own for 3 months, and then consider the next 100. And then they must be companies within agriculture, manufacturing, real sector, sectors that have the capacity to boost our domestic economy, create jobs, and create that theoretical multiplier effect that we always talk about, so that you get from the farmer's harvest becomes what you buy becomes the input to the manufacturing, and they help them produce real goods and services that we can see food, goods and services that can address food shortage, food supply, create jobs, revive our textile industries, create real manufacturing businesses. So these are the areas that the central bank is looking forward to help businesses in this sector address their credit constraints.
Okay, now how do you see that translating to desired achievement?
You know, for the central bank, it's important. So many people criticize the central bank for intervening in everything, but there's a theoretical background for why the CBN is doing what it's doing. The central bank can do two things: focus on price stability and allow the impact of its policies to have effect on the real sector, but leaving it to chance, to the forces of demand and supply. So believing that if CBN achieves single-digit inflation, keep exchange rate stable, attain stable macroeconomic growth, they automatically to translate to job creation, the real sector will benefit, and everything will just keep happening nice. But as Lord Maynard Keynes will say in Economist textbook, if we wait for that to happen in the long run, we might all be dead. So the central bank is tired, if I may use that word, of seeing double-digit inflation affecting the real sector capacity to survive. It's tired of seeing double-digit inflation, which also translates into high double-digit interest rate, cost of loanable fund affecting the real operations of commercial banks. The central bank is also tired of seeing credit constraint affecting the real operations of sectors. So rather than just allowing the impact of central bank policy affect the real sector as a consequence of monetary policy, the central bank under Emefiele is using more or less the direct approach by identifying the constraint, the challenges affecting the real sector, and to help address those challenges. By so doing, we will now be able to at least spur the real sector variables like employment creation, job creation, real sectors to also pick up. But the concept about this 100 for 100 policy is that it's not every company that can access it. It must be within the agriculture, manufacturing, pharmaceuticals, and some other sectors. And it's expected that you have a minimum capital requirement that you need. Otherwise, Anchor's Brewers program will be able to address your need. But to access this fund, it's not just open for all. You must meet our legal requirements. You must be registered with CAC. You must show evidence of FRS, tax payment, and the likes. So these are some of the conditions. But ultimately, the aim is to help real sectors, enterprises that can grow the economy, have access to credit, because access to credit in our economic model is access to capital.
But what about the private sector?
This is for them. This 100 for 100 is for the private sector.
It promotes the private sector. What I mean now, funding from the private sector.
Over the years, very recently, banks have huge non-performing loans. Yeah. In other words, people are borrowing from commercial banks, but the borrowing is mostly for consumption from household, people with salary earners who need quick loans to pay back in 1, 2, 3 months. The banks are not doing well in terms of borrowing to the real sector, to private sector that drive real economy. The people banks are borrowing to now are people in the fintech space who borrow from them and then create this avenue for other people to borrow from them through what is called loan sharks and things like that. Yeah. But the central bank is concerned about the real economy, because to get our exchange rate to pick up, to drive inflation downward, to address food component of inflation, we need to address real sector rigidities, the factors affecting them. And like I said, the National Development Plan anticipates 341 trillion, for which 84 to 85% will come from the private sector. If we don't create the enabling environment for private sector to grow, they will not be able to take advantage and have the necessary boost they require to play their own part in achieving our national development plan.
So this intervention, what role will it play in import substitution, and how will it address our forex crisis?
Already, Nexim Bank has a lot of policies on this in terms of encouraging or promoting our export. And by promoting export, indirectly or indirectly, you are already addressing import. You are substituting for import, because if we don't have the export, there's nothing to substitute from. Now, what we need, especially in our economy, is to grow our domestic absorption capacity, to expand our domestic production base. And these companies that will be benefiting from the CBN 100 for 100 policy are those that are big players in our real sector. And what that happens is that it will drive and connect the rural production to urban production. It will strengthen the value chain along the line and then help create jobs along these businesses, and more importantly, help them to contribute to our tax earnings, which we need at this time more than ever.
Okay, let's now talk about AFCFTA. How will this intervention create results in the export sector?
Well, you mentioned AFCFTA. So what that happens is that our goods must compete with that from Ghana and other African countries. The era in global economies is driven by this one price, free market, access, global village, interconnection of economies. So in as much as we want to promote Nigeria, sell Nigeria, buy Nigeria, we must make sure that our production complies to standards so that it can compete with the other ones coming from outside the country. Now, this CBN policy will grant access to these private sector businesses to help them improve on their quality of production on any goods and service line they find themselves. And that will include packaging, output, and employment, which will make our own production to be able to compete with that we have from other economies. Otherwise, if we don't have anything to offer in this era of African Continental Free Trade Agreement, we have nothing to sell. And if we have nothing to sell, we will once again be a dumping ground. So the CBN is addressing the real issue from the domestic economy.
Before I let you go, what does this mean for the job seekers?
For job seekers, this is a lot of opportunities along value chain, from farm to market. Everybody connected along this line. All the guys in fintech, all the ladies in fintech, telecoms, everything. This is more jobs for everyone. And it also means that people can now have their own harvest or production serve as input into the bigger production that these people do. For example, if people who will be investing in the sugar space, for instance, you need sugarcane farmers to sell to you. So it will reduce post-harvest losses, because farmers now have where to sell so that they can also grow their own earnings and reduce wastage. It will improve rural livelihood, drive down rural inflation, help drive down food inflation, and overall help improve our employment data. Yes. And if you look at our unemployment data right now, unemployment plus inflation gives us a very high misery index. So coming from the CBN is using one blow for two goals: push down unemployment, reduce inflation, and overall reduce our misery index and improve livelihood for young people, women, and children.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Musa. Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Now, moving on. Oil rose more than 1% on Monday to near 7-year highs hit in the previous session, while supply concerns and political tensions in Eastern Europe and the Middle East put prices on track for their biggest monthly gain in almost a year. Brent crude rose $1.07 to $91.10 a barrel after adding 69 cents on Friday. The front month contract for March delivery expires later in the day. The most active Brent contract for April delivery was trading at $89.51, up 99 cents. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude added $1.07 to $87.89 a barrel, having gained 21 cents on Friday. The benchmarks recorded their highest levels since October 2014 on Friday, $91.70 and $88.84, and their sixth straight weekly gain. They were headed for about 17% gains this month, the most since February 2021. Now, look at the commodities market is next. The bears held ground to close trading in the week ended 28th January 2022. Bob Cock has a review of market activities for the week.
The value of Nigeria's listed equities increased by 138 billion naira last week amid mixed trading sessions as investors traded cautiously while the value hunters got lucky. Despite the market's negative start to the week, it recorded 3 days of gains to close the week on a positive note by appreciating 0.5%. The NGX All-Share Index rose from open low of 45,957.35 points to 46,205.05 points, while the value of listed stocks increased from week open low of 24.7 trillion naira to 24.8 trillion naira. All other indices finished lower with the exception of the NGX main board, banking, AfriBank Value, AfriDiv Yield, Merry Growth, consumer goods and oil and gas indices which appreciated, while the NGX ASEM and NGX growth indices closed flat. The financial services industry measured by volume led the activity chart with 793.1 million shares valued at 8.1 billion naira traded in 10,947 deals. The ICT industry followed with 215.5 million shares, while the conglomerates industry took the third position. Trading in the top three equities, Guarantee Trust Holding Company, Courtsville Business Solutions, and Champs accounted for 308 million shares worth 2.8 billion naira in 2,225 deals. 44 equities appreciated in price in the week. 33 equities depreciated in price, while 79 equities remained unchanged.
Global stock market reviews next with Ine Kauko.
Stocks staged a modest rebound this Monday as traders put aside concerns about inflation and the crisis in Ukraine to dip back in. Asian stocks were higher with markets in China and South Korea closed for the Lunar New Year Eve. The Nikkei 225 in Japan rose 1.07% to close at 27,001.98, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index also jumped 1.07% to 23,802.26. European stocks also advanced on the last trading day of January, with markets in Germany leading the region. The DAX was up by 1.36%, while London's FTSE advanced 0.25% and France's CAC 40 added 0.76%. U.S. stock futures were mixed in early trading as investors braced for the final trading day in what could be the worst month for the S&P 500 since March 2020. Dow futures dipped 25 points. S&P 500 added 0.16% and Nasdaq 100 appreciated by 0.67%. Markets like their U.S. counterparts also traded mixed on Monday. South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 jumped 1.36% to lead gains in the region, followed by Kenya, while Tunisia and Ghana were the relative underperformers. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
That's it. Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. Thanks for watching.
Information is power. Everyone wants power.